Oh, yeah. Good afternoon, dear participants. I'm Hendra Gupta. I'm representing Bremen Overseas Research and Development Association, BORDA, a collaboration project with the Asian Institute of Technology, Thailand. Allow me to welcome you to the first webinar series for Southeast Asia. This is a collaborative framework to operationalize utility-based wastewater monitoring and management in support of increased investment to attain the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals 6.3.1. There will be 3 webinar series for Southeast Asia, and also there will be 3 webinar series for South Asia. Today is the first webinar for Southeast Asia, exploring issues and experiences on data management. And then on Monday, the coming Monday, November 7, is the second webinar, exploring data governance and policies. And on Thursday next week, November 10, at the same time, is the third or the last webinar for Southeast Asia on wastewater data for investment. Please be involved in the discussion. We have speakers from Thailand and also from UNHABITAT, so we can learn together. And I would like also to ask you to share this webinar series to your networks. And we will have recordings, presentations, all data that is used in these webinars in our website, ait.ac.th website. And we will share specifically where the locations, so you can download, you can see the videos within the next 7 days. But allow me to inform you one house rule. If you have questions or anything in your mind, please write down your questions in the chat box for the speakers to clarify later. There will be a panel discussion in the end of the presentation sessions where you participants can interact with speakers and address potential ideas applicable in your country. Without any further ado, I invite Professor Tamarat Putatep to moderate the session. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Hendra, for your kind introduction of the program, the webinars. So my name is Tamarat Putatep from Asian Institute of Technologies. Recently, we launched the new center, so-called the Global Water and Sanitation Center, so that this is very much in line with our center initiative. And we would like to share this SDG 6.3.1 in a way that we can mobilize our discussion, mobilize our brainstorming, and then how we can do better in a way that we can monitor and arrangement of the data in order to ensure that we can get the good informations. So today in our webinar this afternoon, maybe in the morning in other countries, that we have 4 speakers of today, that starting from the UNHABITAT and also from BMA, Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, Pollution Control Department, and also from the Germany, Mr. Werner from GIZ project in Thailand. But to start with that, I would like to invite Mr. Graham Alabaster, the chief of the Geneva office of the UNHABITAT, to start the introduction and the program introductions. So, Mr. Graham, please start.
Thank you very much, Prof. I hope that you can all hear me, and I'm delighted to be with you here from Geneva. Well, it's the morning for me, but glad to be with you all. Just a little bit about the history. UNHABITAT's been involved, of course, in water and sanitation for many, many years. And when the SDG 6, the dedicated goal for water, was formulated, it was UNHABITAT who were the ones who got together and organized the group of UN agencies to support the monitoring of SDG 6 and to set up what's now known as IMI SDG 6 under the auspices of UN Water, to support member states to monitor the various parts of the water goal. In addition to that, we are the co-custodians, together with WHO and UNSD, the UN Statistical Division, for the indicator 631 on wastewater. Wastewater, of course, is an incredibly important, but probably a little forgotten part of the SDG. There's been a huge focus, of course, in past years on sanitation and access to water, and the JMP has served us well. But under SDG 6, it was decided that wastewater should have its own indicator, and that we should work out the best ways of supporting member states to monitor. To date, in many countries, a lot of the work on wastewater has focused mainly on effluent compliance. And because of the lack of information and data, it's meant that the very much needed investments in wastewater infrastructure have been sort of pushed aside. And in many countries throughout your region, and indeed throughout the world, we find that this underinvestment has led to huge impacts on the natural environment and on health. So part of our reason for moving this agenda forward, in addition to monitoring and understanding better what's going on with wastewater and the contributions that the various components make, not just domestic wastewater, but industrial wastewater and agricultural wastewater, but to understand better so we can make better predictions about what the investments are that are needed. But of course, in recent years, there are other global factors which are influencing very much wastewater and its importance. There's an increased now opportunity to look at wastewater-based epidemiology, and the COVID crisis, the COVID pandemic, indicated just how important monitoring wastewater can be from this respect. The other reason, of course, is that with climate change and extreme climate events, we're now seeing that existing infrastructure is not really sustainable in terms of coping with extreme climate. Whether that's flooding and over inundation of existing treatment works, but also the situation where in water short countries, how wastewater and treated wastewater can be reused to augment limited freshwater supplies. So we looked, and we've been working to establish how we best might monitor this. The level of data collection on wastewater is very, very low. And in fact, if we look around the world, something like 20% of the world's population are accounted for in terms of wastewater. If you look at industrial wastewater, it's only 4%. So we still have a long way to go. And we realize that, of course, that national monitoring is very important, and the SDGs is about individual countries reporting. But we really need to dig down deeper to understand what's going on at country level. And this is why we've been extending the work to water and sanitation and wastewater utilities and other actors to help us getting the parts of this jigsaw that are missing. So we hope this series of webinars will support this work and look at how at national level and at regional level and country level, how we can improve our reporting with the ultimate aim to get a better understanding of the situation and to stimulate more investment into wastewater treatment, both from the point of view of improving health, but also protecting the environment. So I'm very much looking forward to the proceedings for these next 3 meetings. The ones in this region are the third. We've already held similar consultations in the Latin America region, in Africa, and in the Arab states. And we're now moving to Asia. So we look forward to learning from you and seeing how best we could support you. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Graham. That's a very interesting part. You rightly mentioned that monitoring and arrangement of the data, management of the data, also very important, that in specific conditions, in the special conditions like an extreme climate, how should we do that? How should we report that, as in particular to those who do not having a good system yet? So that's why linked to this, the very first speaker, the first presentation, Dr. Florian Thewanon, the consultant to UNHABITAT. He will come up and speaking about the introduction to the UNSD questionnaire for SDG indicator 6.3.1 and the global SDG data reporting realities, that how and why, what are the issues, what are the current concerns that we should improve, and that would be the guidance that how we should do further. So Florian, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. And thanks for the introduction, and thanks very much to our partner for organizing these 3 series of webinars. That's a great opportunity to touch Asia. You will see that there is not so much reporting today. Do you see my screen clearly? Because I have the small...
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Okay, because on the right, I wanted to remove that. Okay, so I will introduce you the global methodology for wastewater monitoring through the SDG indicator 631. And on the right, you can see the global report that we published last year on this indicator. So here are the SDGs targets on the right and the definition of the target 6.3 on the left. By 2030, improve water quality by reducing pollution, eliminating dumping and minimizing the release of hazardous chemicals and materials, halving the proportion of untreated wastewater, and substantially increasing recycling and safe reuse globally. So this is the target, and there are 2 indicators for this target: 631, the proportion of wastewater treated, and 632, the proportion of bodies of water with good ambient water quality, which is monitored by UNEP. There are 3 custodian agencies responsible for the monitoring of these indicators. UNHABITAT is responsible for total and industrial wastewater monitoring using the data reported through the UNSD UNEP questionnaire. So UNSD, the United Nations Statistics Division, has a database for this reporting. And in parallel, WHO is building estimates for household wastewater based on the total consumption of the country, based on the consumption of 120 liters by habitant. So they built other estimates. UNHABITAT is only reporting the official national data, which in general are reported via the national statistic offices or line ministry directly to UNSD. Here is a representation of the methodology used to monitor indicator 631, focusing on wastewater generated by point sources only. We don't look at the diffuse sources such as runoff and agriculture. So the flow of wastewater generated are disaggregated by sources on the left. It also includes the wastewater flow from independent collecting systems such as septic tank that are transported to treatment plant for safe treatment, as illustrated by the truck here. Some of the wastewater is discharged, of course, to the environment without treatment, and sewer generally also capture runoff wastewater from rainfall. Here are the variables for the generation of wastewater on the left that are used for the indicator. And they are extracted from the questionnaire, the UNSD questionnaire on the right here. So the industrial fraction is disaggregated by economic activity using the International Standard Industrial Classification for all economic activities, the ISIC codes, for mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity, but excluding cooling water and construction. The domestic fraction is disaggregated by household and services. And as I said before, agriculture excludes non-point sources such as runoff and irrigation. It's just the water that is used by these economic sectors. On the right are reported the variable used for the treatment of wastewater. The other treatment plant includes the treatment of wastewater in any non-public treatment plant, for instance, industry, which have their own treatment facility. The independent treatment facility are not connected to a wastewater collection system and include the septic tank. You can see also on the right the breakdown by the three levels of treatment: primary, secondary, and tertiary. The results now that were reported in the 2021 report, and focusing on 2015, because that was it's the first year of the 2030 agenda, and it was also the most populated year. And in fact, there is a relatively low reporting. So we are using UNSD. I forgot to say, because in your, I think it's only in this region through UNSD, but for the European country, we are using Eurostat and OECD database for OECD member, but they are roughly aligned. Okay, but here you can see the three database. So for the total flow of wastewater generated, there was 56 countries over almost 200 UN member states who reported in 2015. Here is this logarithmic scale, and the total volume corresponds to 132 billion cubic meter, which is in fact very low. This histogram is showing the disaggregation of the flow of wastewater generated by economic activity, as I show you 2 slides before, from European members. So using Eurostat, without going into the detail, you can see that countries are not reporting on all variable, and there is more blue, which correspond to domestic water supply, and therefore data from utilities. That's the reason why utility data are so important, and the reason why we are conducting this series of regional webinars. This figure presents the volume treated from the 57 countries who reported in 2015. The total volume corresponds to 42 billion cubic meter, which is also very low. And the disaggregation for the country reporting here to UNSD on wastewater treatment also show high heterogeneity in the variable reported, and more data from urban wastewater treatment plant in blue here. So again, it highlights the importance role of wastewater utility in data monitoring and reporting. And you can see also that there is very low reporting from the industry on other wastewater treatment plants. So this is the indicator definition, which is expressed as a proportion of wastewater flow treated. So there are less countries here than on the previous slide, because some countries did not necessarily report on both generation and treatment, so that the ratio could not be calculated in this later case. Some country ratio were higher than 100%, most likely because of an improved monitoring of wastewater flow treated, especially in municipal wastewater treatment plant, which can treat also an important proportion of runoff water, as well as some wastewater generated from non-public water network, and also cooling water. Okay, so this is 42 country. No, yes, there was 32% of wastewater treated that received some treatment on this country. And yes, there is in blue the safely treated wastewater, which correspond to at least secondary treatment, but it was only present in the UNSD database. That's why there is a lot of green from the data from Europe and OECD, but this variable has been introduced following our collaboration with them. So we define safely treated when wastewater receive at least secondary treatment. So you can see 42 countries reporting on both treatment and generation, and 32% of the wastewater treated. Now, on the industrial wastewater treated, there was only 14 countries which report on generation and treatment. And again, about a third receive some treatment. So a major finding is therefore the low data coverage, which does not allow yet to provide regional and global estimate. It's important also to say that this was developed 3 years ago, and this is the first reporting. So countries were not necessarily informed that this UNSD UNEP questionnaire will be used to inform the SDG 631. But we did not want to develop an additional database and overloading countries which are receiving many demand from a huge number of indicators. So now we also do this regional webinars to inform the country that this UNEP, UNSD UNEP questionnaire on environmental statistics that is existing since few years now, maybe 15 at least, is used for the 631 reporting. So with this figure, we wanted to illustrate the low data coverage. This diagram is comparing the volume of wastewater reported in blue on the left with the proportion of the world population covered by the reported data in gray with the legend on the right. The 56 and 57 country reporting on total wastewater generation and treatment that I showed before correspond to 20% of the world population. That's these two bar here. And the 32 and 15 country reporting on industrial wastewater flow generation and treatment correspond to only 12 and 3% of the world population. In addition to the low number of reporting countries yet, this figure presenting the water consumption in Switzerland points out the absence of reporting of self-supply water resources in the national statistic, which in general exclusively focus on public drinking water supply. That's another issue for having a precise assessment of the water flow. As a consequence, the water consumption by economic activities such as trade, industry, and agriculture are in general not included in the official statistic, while they extract and generate substantial quantity of water and wastewater. In Switzerland, over a third of the potable water is used privately, especially by the business and industry sector, as shown by this arrow is here on the right, and this is not reported on the official statistic. Another example here from Mexico, showing that non-municipal discharge, which includes self-supply industry and those that are discharged directly without being collected by sewerage system, represent a high proportion of total wastewater flow, but also of the pollutant discharge to the environment. Okay, not only the quantity, but the quality is important. This data shows that the volume of wastewater generated and treated by municipal and non-municipal sources are in the same order of magnitude here on the left. However, much more biochemical oxygen demand, the BOD, which is an indicator of the concentration of organic matter in water, so pollution indicator, is generated and discharged by non-municipal sources. For the non-municipal, the light blue here, then by municipal sources, which is the dark blue here. And the same for the elimination, the discharges here. So this is to highlight the importance of non-municipal sources, despite the fact that municipal sources are in general more, the data are in general more accessible. This figure represents the relative loads of BOD in Costa Rica, the percentage of discharge by economic activity. So agriculture and livestock represent 41%, food production 25%, discharge of wastewater and sludge only 12%, retail trade 6%, and other economic activity 17%. This data therefore also demonstrates the importance of filling the existing gaps on commercial and industrial wastewater discharge to the environment. Firstly, as I said before, because industry should represent a much higher proportion of the total wastewater flow. And secondly, because of the importance of organic but also chemical pollutants that are discharged by industrial activity and which negatively impact ambient water quality and the entire economy. And of course, human health and the environment, ecosystem services, biodiversity, and yes, all our livelihoods. So to conclude on this presentation and this report, there was only 42 countries which reported statistics on wastewater generation and treatment in 2015. This limited data suggests that about a third of total and industrial wastewater receives some treatment before discharge. Here is the SDG data portal. You can download and visualize all the data. Here is for all the different indicators. Here is a proportion of industrial wastewater flow for total, the 631 that I presented before. So you can see very few data for Asia. I think there is Bangladesh here, which only reported some data from the capital, maybe for 1 and 2 treatment plants from Dhaka, but only in 2015. And the only other reporting country was in Thailand. But as I said before, our objective is really to inform people at different levels, from the ministry to utilities, that there is this monitoring existing. So, and to link people between the UNSD, the NSO, and the people who are monitoring and managing data from utility and ministries, the operators, but also the regulators, to link them together, to support them so that they could report to this UNSD questionnaire. And on industry, there is almost nothing, and there is nothing in Asia. As I said before, it's more difficult. But some countries are doing it quite well, so it's also feasible. And it's really important, as Graham said before, regarding climate change adaptation and wastewater reuse, and also for reducing the pollution loads that are discharged to the environment, for implementing the polluter pays principle, and for preserving our environment, our health, our economy, tourism activity, etc. So this is the last slide with some links. You can download the report that I presented, the methodology. Please have a look to the UN Water website. There are many documents there, and the link to all the indicators, to the SDG data portal, etc. And to go in further detail in the methodology, you can check the UNSD, Eurostat, and OECD database. I mean, in our cases, mainly UNSD. And on this link, you will find all the country files, so such as Thailand or Bangladesh, and you can check if your country is not reporting. Because I forgot to say that this is there is a sheet on wastewater, but there are also many other sheets on water use, on the quantity of water in the country. So sometimes countries are not reporting on wastewater yet. I hope that this effort will contribute to more populate this database, but sometimes countries are reporting on other water statistics. Thank you very much for your attention. Over. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Graham. Very comprehensive and interesting. Yeah, thank you very much. So actually, there's one question to you, but I will keep that to the section that we can have a Q&A. So the questions will be from Manila, from Philippines. But anyway, I think that we should learn from the others first, like from Thailand, Mr. Werner Kosman will come up with that the presentation on the cooperation framework supporting implementation of the SPOT in Thailand. So Mr. Werner, please.
Yes, Ajahn Thamarat, thank you very much for introducing me, and thank you also for having me at the seminar to share with you briefly on our experience under the Thai-German climate program. I heard that there will be another presentation by my colleague, Dr. Chayavi from the PCD Wastewater Division afterwards, which looks a little bit in detail on our activities with regard to data collection in the field of wastewater. Perhaps I cannot see the slide now. I'm not sure if you opened it already or, but it doesn't appear on my screen. It would be good if I could have the slide.
Yeah, it's coming up, huh?
Yes. Okay. Yes, here we go. If you could enlarge it, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay, that looks good. Yes. So we're talking about Thai-German climate program, which is a program, a partnership program between the Thai government and the German government. In Germany, it's the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action, where there is the so-called IKI fund. Maybe you can go further to the next slide. Yes, it has quite a long tradition already, a long cooperation tradition between this IKI fund and Thailand. Since 2009, the cooperation started. We have in total 13 bilateral projects on adaptation, mitigation, forest protection, and biodiversity. It used to be under the German Ministry of Environment, BMU, but since our last election, our new government, they changed this. So climate change action is now under the Ministry of Economic Affairs. Therefore, this slide is not quite up to date. Maybe go to the next slide, please. Yes, here you can see the different program components which started in 2009. The first phase, the second phase from 14 to 17. Now, actually, we are in the third phase from 2018 to 2021, which has been extended to 2022 due to the COVID and the delay in implementation. And we have already started actually the first phase, which started now in 2022 and will be for another 4 years. Next slide, please. Yes, this is the program structure, Thai-German Climate Program. The program, as I said, is not BMU anymore. It's the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action. It has a volume of financial volume of about 18 million euro, 711 million Thai baht. It's designed for 4 years, but now it's 5 years. We have 5 components in the program dealing with different sectors on mitigation and adaptation. For example, agriculture is going with Agriculture Ministry, especially on the rice cultivation to reduce greenhouse gas emission from rice cultivation. We're working closely with the Ministry of Energy in renewable energy and energy efficiency, working with water, with the Water Management Division of MONRE. Here it's going not towards mitigation, but towards adaptation. And in the middle, we have actually the policy part, which is cross-sectoral and dealing with climate change policy. At the moment, they're working on the so-called Climate Act. And the last one is the waste sector, which is with MONRE, with the Ministry of Environment. And here it's the Pollution Control Department we are cooperating with, looking into municipal solid waste and domestic wastewater. Next one, please. Yes. The goal of the cooperation is to support Thailand in the implementation of the national adaptation, but also mitigation targets. Actually, this is being expressed in the so-called NDCs, National Determined Contributions, which Thailand has committed to reduce greenhouse gas emission by 20 to 25% over the period of 2021 to 2030, so 10 years period. Our main fields of action for all the components is basically policy development, subnational implementation, which is piloting project implementation on the local level. Monitoring evaluation refers to MRV, measurement, reporting, and verification, which is the monitoring system under the UNFCCC for greenhouse gas emission reduction. We're looking also into financing, see whether we can get green financing, climate financing, for example, the GCF, under GCF, Green Climate Fund, and of course, exchange of experience, of knowledge under the international cooperation. Yes, next one, please. So in the waste sector, as I mentioned already, we're looking into municipal solid waste and domestic wastewater. Next one. Actually, if we look to the waste and wastewater sector and look at to the business as usual, we see over the last 10, 20 years actually a constant increase of waste and wastewater generation. And this has also contributed to quite a high degree of greenhouse gas emission in Thailand. And so it has a high potential. If we are able to reduce greenhouse gas emission from the waste sector, actually we can achieve it quite easily, not so expensive. And it has also many co-benefits, in particular with regard to health and also to the environment. Yes, in total, 20-25% actually results in 2 million tons greenhouse gas emission reduction. And this is the figure we have to achieve. Actually, this figure is not quite up to date anymore, as Thailand now has committed to an increase of their NDCs from 20% to 40%. So this figure basically would need to be doubled to 4 million tons greenhouse gas emission or CO2 equivalent. We're working with the Pollution Control Department, as I mentioned already. We're looking into the NDC waste sector. We have the collaboration with integrated waste and wastewater management for greenhouse gas reduction. This is actually the program we are cooperating with our partner, the Pollution Control Department. Our key partners is PCD, Pollution Control Department, Department of Local Administration, which oversees the municipal utility sector or service sector, including waste management and wastewater management, and of course, the local government organizations or municipalities. Next one, please. Yes, the goal or the main objective of our program is that we want to set the conditions, the framework conditions for sustainable climate-friendly solid waste and wastewater management in Thailand in a way that the NDCs can be achieved. As I mentioned before, we have 5 areas working in. Is the policy area. Here we look in particular to the integration of climate protection into the national waste and wastewater management policy. So this is very much to do with alignment of policies towards climate change or greenhouse gas emission reduction and adaptation. The second one is to develop climate-friendly municipal solid waste, but also domestic wastewater systems. We do this in 3 target areas or pilot areas for waste, municipal solid waste, and 1 for domestic wastewater. Then a very big part is the MRV, the measurement, reporting and verification or monitoring part of the program to make sure that all greenhouse gas emissions which are achieved through mitigation action will also be accounted according to the rules and regulations set by UNFCCC. The third one is to develop and demonstrate public-private financing for integrated municipal solid waste and domestic wastewater. Here we're looking into public financing, but also private financing and international financing, which can be brought together. And the last one, as I mentioned before already, is the exchange of experience and knowledge on the international level. Yes. And this is just to highlight again our piloting areas. We have 3 cities actually selected. It's Nakhon Sawan city as a large city, provincial city. We have Yasothon as a medium-sized city and Kampang as a small-sized municipality in the south. And we have conducted various activities there, which I share with you later. Next one, please. Yes, here I would like to give you an overview about the greenhouse gas emission in the waste and wastewater sector. In total, the inventory shows that we have about 16.7 million tons of greenhouse gas emission or CO2 equivalent in the waste sector, which has been made up by a municipal solid waste of about 8 million tons and basically almost the same amount for wastewater, which is divided in 2 parts. Domestic wastewater is about 2.6 million tons and industrial wastewater about 5.7 million tons. Just as to give you an idea what we are talking about when we talk about wastewater. So we have a total amount of about 2.6 million tons, which need to be reduced by 40%, 20 now, and in the future will be 40%. Yes, next one, please. This slide should give you an idea where greenhouse gas emissions are being generated for wastewater and also for municipal solid waste. It's mainly in the form of methane and nitrous oxide, N2O. Methane, of course, because of degradation of organic matter under anaerobic conditions. So there's a lot of methane, mainly methane actually. And of course, through nitrification, we have N2O, nitrous oxide. Well, there are different sources, starting at the houses in cesspools, that is on-site treatment, but we also have septic tank on-site treatment. Emptying the septic tanks or cesspools, there is methane and also N2O generated. We have also the grey water, which goes either directly into the treatment system, or it is being discharged in the open waters. There is also CH4 and N2O generated in the wastewater treatment system itself. It's been generated and after discharging from the wastewater treatment system as well. So there are quite a few sources and where CH4 and also N2O is being generated, greenhouse gas emissions, and this in the future need to be controlled in a way to reduce greenhouse gas emission in the wastewater sector. Yes, maybe I just should also mention, could you just go back this? We have actually two kinds of greenhouse gas emissions, the direct and indirect emissions. You see the little bacteria sign there. This is actually the direct emissions from the degradation process. And then we have the emissions from electricity utilization or use, and also from fuel use in carrying, for example, the sludge to the sludge treatment plant. Yes, next one, please. Okay, so that should give you a little bit of an overview of the situation in Thailand. Total amount of domestic wastewater, about 8.5 million cubic meters per day. At the moment, we have about 100 wastewater treatment systems, centralized wastewater treatment systems in operation, which is designed for a capacity of 2.6 million cubic meter per day. Actually, influent is, however, 1.69 cubic meter per day. In total, about only 20 to 25% of the total wastewater is being treated. In the future, and this has started already now, cluster or decentralized wastewater treatment systems are being promoted. So far, 80 systems have been set up on community, small city level. On-site treatment is basically 100%. It's mandatory, and it consists of simple cesspool treatment tanks or more efficient septic treatment systems. The future is promising. Thailand has planned to set up in the next 10 to 20 years, I would say, 700 plus mostly cluster-based wastewater treatment plants. And this should cover another 30 to 40% of the total wastewater to be treated in the future. Next one, please. Here we're looking a little bit into the limitations, challenges at the same time. Wastewater treatment capacity is obviously not sufficient, but it's in the plan to be extended. Management capacity is also lacking. Human resources are not yet up to the standard, trained, and this also leads to a lack of management of the treatment systems, but also on household level, actually management of septic tanks is also not up to the standards. Here it's also a lack of capacity to be seen. Controlling the performance and checking effluent standards is also limited, very much limited, and lacking is proper data for further planning and decision making. And of course, as not only in Thailand, I think it's the financing, which is not available or only limited available. And this is also, among others, because there is no user charging system in place, which could generate revenue from wastewater treatment, which could then be used for operation of the systems, of the treatment systems, and also to construct new systems. Next one, please. Well, here I would like to just briefly share with you a few activities which we are conducting, also partly to address the challenges which I just shared with you. We have been working with PCD mainly on the NDC action plan. We have tried to align this NDC action plan with the National Wastewater Quality Management Master Plan. Now we also have just completed in very close cooperation with AIT actually, the guidelines for the implementation of climate-friendly domestic wastewater treatment system. This is also available not only as a hard copy, but also as a web-based database system, which can be utilized by the target group, by local municipalities. We have drafted a reader actually on good management practices, reference sites for low carbon wastewater management. We invested quite a bit in the pilot activities, and where we looked into one municipality, in this case it was Nakhon Sawan, to analyze their performance, their baseline performance, and see how we can optimize it. We worked also with AIT on that very closely. And at the same time, during this study, we also determined the emission factor for on-site wastewater treatment, which is necessary later on to calculate not only the inventory, but also the mitigation, emission reduction and through mitigation. Then we looked how we can improve, especially on-site treatment, because on-site treatment generates a lot of greenhouse gas emission. And here we looked into best available technology, which resulted in technology which is actually available in Thailand, it's being constructed in Thailand, but often not known. Households are not aware of it, or a technology provider not really going for good marketing on it. So often, and also it's more expensive. So often the cheaper one and less efficient one is being utilized.
Sorry, maybe you can conclude.
Yes, no, I'm finished now. I just want to finish this one. We're going with the web-based application DSpot now after my presentation. Dr. Chayavi will briefly introduce it. We have worked a lot on the database management. We also developed another web-based application. It's called WISE. I think this is very important also to mention in order to calculate the cost of wastewater treatment, which could then help also to determine the wastewater treatment fee, which could be charged to the user. I would leave it here. And I think now we're going into the details of one activity, which is the DSpot, or the database for the domestic wastewater treatment plants, which has been presented by Dr. Chayavi. Thank you very much. And we can discuss further later on. Thank you again.
Valiant Dank. Thank you very much, Mr. Werner. That's very comprehensive. This is to show that how monitoring and data management is very important in relation to the climate. In relation to that, how can we quantify the existing situation, and then in the different scenarios, if we have more and more treatment plants, how should we deal with these kind of climate issues as well? So I think we have to thanks for this presentation, and link to the next presentation that our colleagues from the Pollution Control Department, Dr. Chayavi Bangcharanrung, that having the implementation of the so-called DS POT, the database system, that how can be used, how can we set this kind of information. And of course, later we are hopeful that our database system can report to the UN, to the agencies, that we are better off in terms of that treated wastewater. But of course, for the Pollution Control Department at this section, we are very much focused on the domestic wastewater. But of course, this kind of a platform should be able to apply for other kind of a wastewater. So Dr. Chayavi, the floor is yours, please.
Hello. Let me share my screen. You can see my screen now.
Yeah, we can see. Then you can.
Okay, let me begin. So my work it's about present to you the database system that we have developed together with GIZ for basically tracking of the wastewater treatment plant in Thailand, which called the D-spot. The D-spot link itself is actually here. It's down below, which you can see that it's actually embedded into the PCD website right now. Let me introduce the reason why we developed the D-spot system. Is to begin that right now we only have around 118 wastewater treatment plants in Thailand with a total treatment capacity of only 2.9 million cubic meter per day. But only 98 of that wastewater treatment plant is actually operating normally, and others still have problems from time to time. But there's also a new 81 cluster wastewater treatment plant that we actually built with capacity of 45,000 cubic meter per day. If you look at in the map of in Thailand, the points in blue actually designate location of the wastewater treatment plant throughout the country. But you can see clearly that, I mean, even though we have 118 treatment plants, we actually have 7,700 something local governments in Thailand that is actually matching with the number of main cities in Thailand. But our wastewater treatment plant is actually cover only 91 of the local government area, which means that only 1.17% of the cities actually have wastewater treatment plant right now. And also capacity is also lacking because combined capacity of the treatment capacity is only 2.9 million cubic meter per day, but we have actually close to 10 million wastewater that is actually produced by our people, like domestically in Thailand. So there's a lot of lacking. So in order to, the lacking is also continue technically when we look at in detail that around actually half of the number of wastewater treatment plants is actually can be managed by the local government themselves. But another half is actually the local government has to entrust other organizations to manage the wastewater treatment plant for them. So this means that there's a lot of problems that capacity of the local government themselves is still lacking in terms of wastewater management. And that lacking is partly due to the budget constraint. The budget constraint itself has a root from actually collection of the wastewater treatment fee. If you can see in the box below that there's actually only 19 local government that has announced the collection of the wastewater treatment fee, and that is actually cover only 22 wastewater treatment plants in Thailand. So that is actually a very low number of the city that is actually trying to collect the wastewater treatment fee. The reason that we are trying to develop the database system is that because of under 20-year water quality management plan, we are trying to build 741 new wastewater treatment plants, and that plan will actually increase the amount of wastewater that is treated from currently at 26% to 83%, so that our treatment of the wastewater can be compared with other leading countries in this area. So right now, not only that, because wastewater treatment plant in Thailand is actually built by many of the government agencies, actually also managed by many government agencies. On the left, provider of information that the agency who has information about wastewater treatment plant, local government and Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, and also Pollution Control Department, also Wastewater Management Authority, and actually another one is Office of National Environmental Resource Policy and Planning, or ONEP, which is the one who actually providing budget for construction of the wastewater treatment plant. So in because of the data belong to many of the agencies, it's very difficult to keep track of how is each of the wastewater treatment plants are performing. So whenever we have to do a national report on wastewater treatment, every time we have to do the data integration. So we have to gather information from all provider and arrange the data together in one format. And sometimes we have to check for repetition and sometimes discrepancy between the data among agencies and update information. These become more and more difficult every year because of the number of the wastewater treatment keep increasing. According to we are trying to invest into constructing wastewater treatment plant. So we think that the best way to manage the data better is to develop the database system. So under cooperation between Pollution Control Department of Thailand and GIZ, under Thai-German climate change program, like just like already presented to you by Mr. Werner. So we have built a project on national database for domestic wastewater treatment plant. This is with the benefit to support the MRV process and to support Thailand on wastewater treatment, greenhouse gas reduction from wastewater treatment. The DSPOT itself is actually short for database system for publicly owned treatment work. It's a database system integrated into the PCD website, and the purpose of the DSPOT is actually for information sharing between agencies in Thailand, so that we can have one unified data on situation on wastewater treatment. So in order to develop the DSPOT at the beginning is a little bit difficult because the data of the wastewater treatment plant in Thailand used to be reported by paper from many of the regional office of the PCD and many of the government agencies actually input the situation of their wastewater treatment plant operation into the website. So we have to actually gather where information about each of the wastewater treatment plant is actually reported, and trying to come up with like a structure of the database system. And we with help with GIZ and also like the team from AIT on developing the structure of the database, we actually help each other and come together and actually develop a database for the system. And the PCD Pollution Control Department is the one who actually designed for the interface of the database system. This is like how we actually come up with a sketchup on how the database of our database want to look like. And we decide when that we have like complete information about our wastewater treatment, we decided we will begin input the data that we have completely since the year 2020. And the database is designed with the concept of the information that should be used frequently should be displayed as what we call a dashboard, which is when you go into like this spot, the landing page, the first thing you will see is the dashboard, which presents with like information that people ask the most, which if you see in this area is going to be the number of the wastewater treatment plant that is operating, and separate by type of the wastewater, like the type of the wastewater treatment plant, and not the amount of the wastewater that is actually treating, and the coverage, the population coverage. You can see like the icon of the people is actually represent the population coverage of the wastewater treatment plant, and the last one on the bottom right is the amount of the greenhouse gas that is actually released from the wastewater treatment process. So the first page of this spot is landing page. On the top, you can see that is a dashboard as present. The second part is summarized information of the disport system, which is information of the wastewater treatment plant by region and separate into central and cluster system. And the next part is the location of the wastewater treatment plant separate by river basin. And the bottom part is actually new. Basically, we put in like general information, inspection link activity, and local events. So another menu that we integrate into the disport system is the target area menu. The target area menu is basically this menu displays the wastewater treatment plant construction project, which means that by using this database system, we can actually track the progression of the wastewater treatment plant construction project by each of the local government, beginning from a proposal when everyone has like when each of the local government has proposal for building wastewater treatment plant, they will we will begin to input the pin of the location of the new wastewater treatment plant into the system, and we have our regional office and related government agency to put in information and progression of each of the wastewater treatment plant, so that we can keep tracking of if they have any problems. So you can actually search for each progression of each of the project by clicking into the icon which represent the eye and look at in detail. This one is the example of the target area menu, which you can actually have summarized information of how the construction project of wastewater treatment plant is progressing, and if they have any problem or any problem that they actually need the help from other agencies, so that we can basically pollution control department can send our people and to call them or to visit them and help them on if they have any technical details that they need our help. The next one is the database itself. The database of this is the database example of the database of the wastewater treatment plant, which is actually it can be searched by province or area of responsibility of the pollution control department regional office, and the detailed information including location, project budget, coverage area, coverage of population, operational status of the plant and pumping station, length and the status of sewerage and pipe and effluent quality, also the status of treatment fee collection, and the last part that we put into the database is related activity, like if the last visit of the pollution control department official or activity that they are doing, or the problem that each of the wastewater treatment plant is facing, so that we can keep the issue in the database all the time. And this is actually, the database itself is actually can keep like the picture and diagram of each of the wastewater treatment, how the layout of how it looks like, and also diagram of the sewage collection system, and the photo of the sewage treatment unit, and aerial photo. We keep that in our database as well. The fourth menu is actually statistics and dissemination of the information. Basically, this menu it can keep track of overall pictures. It can build like many kind of diagrams so that we can use it to make reports. For example, it can basically compare the number of wastewater treatment plants in some of the area or in each of the year, so that we can have as like information that how each of the area number of wastewater treatment plants is increasing, or it can keep track of the number of the wastewater treatment plants that is under construction and or stop operation. And as well as like the information that we can display that in comparison between each of the year, how much of the greenhouse gas is actually released from the wastewater treatment operation. Like this is the example of the comparison between the years 2561 and 2562, which is like 2 or 3 years ago. Another menu that we have is like finding. In the finding menu, we actually can find information of the wastewater treatment plant according to type of the of technology used for treatment of wastewater, or finding according to the current status. For example, we can find like the wastewater treatment plant information that is having a problem in operation, or filter only the number of the wastewater treatment plant that is under construction, and we can filter by
sorry. Can you help to speed up a bit? We having short.
I'm going to finish. Yeah. I'm sorry. So this, basically this is the filter menu, and this is the news in which people can come in to look at information related to the wastewater treatment plant. And this one is the menu that filter out only the wastewater treatment plant that has a problem on operation, such as the flooding. This is also the example of the database system can identify only the wastewater treatment plant that has a problem on operation. So this is my last slide. The advantage of using the dashboard is actually helping us reduce or eliminate the paper report. And it can be one database that can be used by many of the environmental agencies with no information discrepancy. So now we share the database to be used with like ONEP and Wastewater Management Authority, or the WMA. And this has ability to track progression of the new wastewater treatment plant project, and also good practice or training can be shared with this database among other agencies, and this is definitely support Thailand for SDG and greenhouse gas reduction. So this is my conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Xiaohui. Very comprehensive and very nice, very good initiative that the Pollution Control Department, together with that, the GIZ has developed this kind of database I'm sure that you are willing to share the database with the other agencies that can involve in that industry or agricultural wastewater as well in the future. I think that could be helpful for the country. So I think we have learned from the UNHABITAT that they're talking about the framework or the SDG 6.3.1 and reporting realities. And then we have the showcase of the collaborative framework with GIZ and Thai governmental agencies. And then we have a case study that the Pollution Control Department talking about the initiative on developing this database system. Then I think we have about 5 minutes for certain clarifications. I think we have one question addressed to Graham, about the cooperation with the agencies and then UNHABITAT. So Graham, I don't know whether you can get comments like that or not. No. So otherwise I can read for you. The question is for Manila, Philippines. Graham, he mentioning about that since one of the problems is data collection and management in a local levels. Do you have any particular partnership program with local private university that undergraduates or college researchers? If there is, where can I access the informations? And if not, you're not planning to have one, I think this can be one of the viable solutions that can be looked at too. And topic and manpower will be shouldered by the student researchers. This is the things. So Graham, are you there? That's responded by the Grahams already. I'm sorry for that. He said that we have not explored this opportunity to work with the local university, but I agree it is worth thinking about. Happy to discuss further. That is the reply from Mr. Graham. So I think that there would be many things that we can discuss further on these collaborations that not only the local university, but other agencies, even the NGO who work in this field, that how can we systematically set the data and how we can monitor and report to that. The initiative by the Pollution Control Department on that database system, that's nice, but looking forward to see that, to seeing that how we can say that this is safely treated or safely managed, the wastewater or not. The number, that's fine, but how can we ensure that this is safely treated according to the SDG 6.3.1? I think that would be still the challenge. And I'm sure that if we have properly arranged this kind of monitoring data, then we can further explain that what are the contributions to the climate change and how we can reduce the carbon emission from the operation of this wastewater treatment system. So any comments, suggestions, remarks to the three presenters before? Can write in the chat box if there is any. Nope. So perhaps I can invite the next presenter, then later we can have another Q&A session for discussions. So next presenter will be Dr. Prathan Banjongpu. He is from the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration from the Technical Water Quality Management Office. So he has been working in this wastewater treatment system in Bangkok City, the capital city of Thailand. So he will present about the data management and contribution of water utilities to SDG indicator 6.3.1 in Thailand. So Dr. Prathan, please.
Dr. Thammarat, thank you.
You see the slide?
Good afternoon to participation. Thank you very much for today. I'm explain to you about the water quality management in Bangkok. We in Bangkok, we have about 1,500 square kilometers of area, and with about 6 million population. We own about 1,600 canals with length of 2,600 kilometers. The Chao Phraya River flow through the city and divide the city into half, almost half. And the water consumption of the city is about 2.5 million cubic meters per day. Wastewater originate from domestic for 75%, and another 25% is industry and agriculture. Next slide, please. Can you hear me clearly? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, okay. And we have a sampling point to check, to looking for the water quality in the canal of Bangkok. 316 sampling point in almost 200 major canals. Almost area of Bangkok is highly polluted. Next slide, please. We construct the wastewater treatment plant and also apply the non-construction measures to improve the SDG of people. Next slide, please. I will speak briefly today because we have used all time. Yes, the master plan of Bangkok was written 40 years ago. It was divided. The city was divided into 10 zones at that time, and then later we developed another master plan to create the wastewater service area. So the wastewater service area developed to be like the picture on the right hand side with 27 zones of area. Yes, thank you. After the construction area is complete, it will be cover about 90% of total wastewater generated in Bangkok. Next slide, please. At the beginning, Bangkok was start with the wastewater treatment plant in the so-called the aerated lagoon system. We have the central wastewater treatment plant, the community wastewater treatment plant, the cluster, and the on-site wastewater treatment plant, from the large size to the small size. Yes, next slide, please. This is the principle of collecting of wastewater. The rainwater will, because it was the combined, the city was covered by combined sewer system. The wastewater from domestic and residential area flow through the pipes on the road and then go to the canal. Before it is going into the canal, we intercept the wastewater and convey them to the wastewater treatment plant and treat them and flow back into the Chao Phraya River or the main canal. Next slide, please. At the beginning, it was almost 50 years ago, the Rama 9 Pond and Makasan Pond project was the royal initiated project at the beginning. Yes, at that time, we applied the hyacinth and the surface aerator. Even today, it was under operation to improve the canal water before going into the river. Okay, next slide, please. This is the sample of community wastewater treatment plant. And next slide, please. Also, we have construct the central wastewater treatment plant up to 1 million cubic meters, cover 14% of total area with 45% of wastewater generated. Next slide, please. With the effluent standard of BOD around less than 20 milligram per liter. Next slide, please. We are going to do the Thonburi wastewater project, which is now under construction. Also, the Klong Toei and Minburi project is underway to go in the so-called the procurement process. Next slide, please. We improve the wastewater service of the city, and up to now the construction cost is about 26,000 million baht already, and we will be going on to develop the wastewater treatment plant in the next incoming future years, up to 3 times of cost today. Next slide, please. Yes, we have the problem with the acquisition of land and the construction of wastewater treatment plant. It is not easy to do the public hearing and to get the allowance to go into the piece of land to do the wastewater treatment plant. And with the very restriction of expenditure, because we still cannot collecting the fee, the wastewater fee, and also we have the improvement. We have to improve the wastewater collection system with from the beginning. The drainage system in Bangkok is mostly rainwater, but we have to change to be the wastewater together with the rainwater, so it is not easy to develop. So we have to, yes, improve. Next slide, please. We have to get the fee, the wastewater collection fees, collecting the fees, and to do the public-private partnership in another project. And we have to reuse the wastewater after treatment in order to save the fresh water during the dry season. And of course, people participation and energy saving technology is very important. Next slide, please. We construct the wastewater treatment plant. We apply the economic to command and control of wastewater together with rainwater, and also we have to do the public participation to enhance the awareness in people. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Pathan. That's very interesting to be informed about the Bangkok wastewater treatment system in the past and in the futures as well. So I think that's very important that we can communicate this kind of a monitoring system and the data and information to the governmental agencies and then report to the UN. I'm sure that there would be many rooms we have a discussion on these 3 presentations. So any comments, any suggestions, remarks from the audience, from participants? I got one from Jose, just mentioning that the presentation from Dr. Chiavi is quite interesting. And as we try to expand the programs on the SDG 6.2 and 6.3.1 in the Philippines. So the recommendation from him is that AIT, GWSC should collaborate with his agencies that we can do more knowledge sharing and networking in the regions. Yes, that we can do more. Definitely not limit to this our agencies, but of course there would be many other water utilities that, or the wastewater utilities or pollution control offices that we can link together and then try to form a kind of platform that how we can work together. And of course, there will be the guidance from the UNHABITAT that we should follow, and then we can systematically report the monitoring data and the management of the data. In particular to that, the safely managed or safely treated wastewater, whether it just to comply with the national standards or comply with the international standards. I'm sure that our reference standards will be different from one country to the others. One could be stringent, one could be not so stringent. So that I think it could be another thing that we can thinking further is that how we can work on that. So any additional comments, questions, remark?
Maybe Florian, if I can just reply
Yes.
to this. That's great to see this kind of comments, and I really also applaud all these presentations. They are really great. I mean, it's really great to see all this innovation in Thailand. And yes, the link with 632 is crucial. That's very interesting. Because it's under the same target. We are closely working with our colleagues from UNEP who are in charge of monitoring 632 on ambient water quality, and that's typically the kind of case studies that we would like to feature. So I'm really interested by this, and if there is any water quality monitoring which shows the impact of wastewater treatment plant implementation or the lack of wastewater treatment and ambient water quality, that would be great, and that's a good case study. As you said, also there is some compliance issue and the regulation, and which may differ from one country to another, but that's a crucial point and a very important point. And also I was just very impressed by DSPOT, and that's also typically the kind of thing that we would like to feature and to showcase, because that's quite crucial. And the link with climate change, I don't know if they are also looking at the pollution loads and the reduction of pollution, again with the link of 632. But that's really great example. So and also now it was really fantastic to see all this presentation on Thailand, but we are also very curious to see what is existing on other country, and trying to encourage and to create synergy and collaboration. That's really great. Thank you very much. I see that there is another hand over. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think that's quite important, that how we can formulate this kind of society or the association that we can work towards this. I think quite interesting issue that at least come to my mind, that if we have a very good monitoring system, and then we can access to the policy makers or decision makers that, hey, we are in the plums, that we cannot get into the better quality of life, that because our pollutions in the surface water, in the coastal water is too high because of this discharge of the domestics wastewater, industrial wastewater, or agricultural wastewater. I think that would be the key evidence that we can say to the governments or even to the donor or the funding agencies that yes, we still need more investment into these infrastructures because we have no good information yet. So I think that would be the good initiative that we can work together and how we can collaborate with the others. I think Werner also raised a hand. Perhaps he can elaborate more that how we can do better in this kind of collaborative framework. Werner, please.
Yeah, maybe that's the keyword, collaborative. As we are working on climate change, we are also forced to go with a very stringent, actually, monitoring system to account for the greenhouse gas emission reduction in every sector, but in specific now also in the wastewater sector. So I was wondering, also with regard to what Florian said, that we have to find ways to monitor in the widest sense, I would say, whether these climate change monitoring system, MRV, would also be kind of a base for the monitoring. Can this be, let's say, also be adjusted to the SDG monitoring system so that we could don't have to do it double counting, but just to see how these two systems, monitoring systems, can complement each other. I think it's very easy to say it like this, but maybe it's difficult to do. I don't know, as it is on a different institutional framework, but I would see that there's a good opportunity to do it. So we can save time and maybe resources over the next 10 years, because this is also the time frame the mitigation action has to take place to deliver the greenhouse gas emission reduction. Just a thought, which I don't know, can be elaborated further and see whether this can go together. I don't know.
Thank you. That's I strongly agree with you that this is quite important. If we do this kind of platform, we can use for the reporting of the SDG 6.3.1, and perhaps the other initiative, for example, that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundations try to promote that sanitation dashboard, that to report on the SDG 6.2 as well, so that if we can integrate several SDG reporting system into the same format and platform, then we can simply calculate that what are the carbon emissions from this kind of waste and wastewater treatment system, and also with the sanitation system as well. So this is, I think, the very good initiative that we can have the simple platform, and then we can share and then make the inputs into those platform, and then we can interpret the use of this information system for other policy intervention and other things as well. So Florian, do you have any response to that?
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, clearly it's because usually people more focus on water, and water quality is the biggest issue. It's more appealing than wastewater, but the source of the issue are related to wastewater. And it's true that we all sometimes I had this discussion with other UNEP partner. What is the contribution of wastewater treatment to greenhouse gas emissions? It's a very important issue. It's mentioned in the IPCC report, but to have some detailed data, it's very difficult. So I think this is an excellent case study that should be featured, because we don't have so many data, and also on the different treatment system, and also on industry, because usually it's focused on domestic, but I think it's very crucial. And also, of course, if we could link it with 631 and 632, and we are also working with our colleague on UNSD, working on this environmental statistics. They are also working on climate change statistics, and to include this wastewater dimension in the climate change statistic and in the climate change in the greenhouse gas reduction is very important. And this is really around. I didn't know that, to be honest, and I will look in detail. My understanding is that the web page is not in English, right? But it's very interesting for me, and I will work on it. And also, as UNHABITAT and with our UN partner through the UN Water, we are typically looking at this kind of initiative, and the last presentation also on Bangkok it's really great and impressive. So I hope that there will be some synergy and some further collaboration, as you say, maybe over the last 10 years. It's a long dimension and project, but it's really exciting. Yeah, over.
Thank you, Florian. So, any reaction from you, Dr. Shayawi? I think that the database system is quite interesting, but if we can translate into English, and then the other agencies can learn from our initiative as well. So, Dr. Shayawi, please.
Yeah, I think if the database itself is very easily to be translated into other language, but I think it should be modified according to the local need, because for PCD ourselves, we actually divide into regional office, and the database itself is actually not only designed to support us, and then they actually decide to support our local office, because they are the people who are actually on the field, and then for look at the performance of each of the wastewater treatment plants. So definitely, but yeah, the key point to my presentation is that, I mean, you cannot manage anything efficiently without information, and this is actually the database itself is actually aimed for giving information, especially to the policymaker, because majority of them don't even know that they need to build like a wastewater treatment plant. The map itself will show to them that they are still lacking, and information is shown very easily to them that there's a lot of wastewater that is produced that is still not treated, and the greenhouse gas can be reduced by building the new wastewater treatment plant. That this information is, I think, before it's really not obvious to majority of the people in Thailand, but I think through advertising of this system, I think people can understand more on how we can achieve the SDG goal with this information provided by this database system. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's quite important that we need to generate this kind of evidence, and then the decision maker, the policy makers will come up with, okay, we need improvement in this wastewater treatment sectors. Otherwise, as we familiarize with that, as you mentioned, and also the Dr. Pathan mentioned that we invested on this wastewater treatment system for more than 30 years, 30, 40 years, then we can achieve only 100 plus, 140 centralized treatment system, and about that 100, 200 more for the cluster system. So we have more than 8,000 local authorities in Thailand. So we're still lacking of this kind of evidence to prove to the donors, investor, or decision makers that, hey, we need more. Otherwise, we said that we try to comply with that the new SDG whatsoever in the 2030, 2050 whatsoever. But with this kind of a step of improvement, it would be too slow to catch up with the other countries. So at least we need to use this kind of figures and evidence to prove that. Perhaps, Dr. Pathan, can you inform a bit of that, your future wastewater treatment system, whether you just like to look only for the large scale or the centralized wastewater treatment system, which is, again, to start with, to procurements, it takes a year, many years or decades to prove that. Then what are the other options that we can deal with this kind of wastewater generated every day? And then we need to do that. So Dr. Pathan, what is your ideas on this?
As I was informed by the Vice Governor, he gave the way of his policy to enhance the capacity of the already installed small wastewater treatment plant that was constructed by the communities. Because today, as you may know, I have not mentioned about this, the village the village that was done by the private sector. They already have the wastewater treatment plant, the small scale treatment plant in the village. As we try to collect the information, we have more than 2,000 place, 2,000 treatment plant like this in the village, but it is not fully at the full capacity operated. We try to improve this point of the city at this moment. This small treatment plant is low, so maybe we call it them on-site treatment plant, was already installed by the village, but we concerned about the way of to operate them, the legal, the laws and regulation, the operator, and the way how to improve the capacity and let's say the treatment performance, the performance of treatment. Yes, this is the what they ask us to improve this point. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think that's quite important message, that even if the Bangkok city, the authorities try to invest a lot of money, I think till today would be more than several billions baht we invested in such a large scale treatment plant already, but we can achieve about that 50% of the population cover. So I think that could be something that we can look for alternative, like a decentralized wastewater treatment system. How can we improve that? But the challenge will be that if we allow those, for example, that 10,000 more decentralized system, how do we monitor? How do we get the data, say that whether it is properly treated or safely treated or not, according to the standards? So I think that could be something that we have to plan in advance as well, that how we can ensure that those decentralized or those cluster system can connect into this database platform, and then we can ensure that we can report to the UN agencies or others that, hey, whether it's work well or not well, then we can use this kind of the cases to the other provinces. In Thailand, we have 70 plus more in dealing with this kind of wastewater, whether they should go for centralized as Bangkok can invest in the cities. But what about the other provinces? They may not have enough capacity to deal with that, whether they can use the decentralized system or not. I think that the Bangkok city would be the good champion that you can test, you can allow those, but the data and monitoring system is very important part as well. That's what I was thinking of. So, Florian, anything else about that monitoring platform, the system that you would like to address to the audience?
No, I completely agree with the last intervention. First on the use of the data, because what we want to show with these webinars is that how wastewater data should be used, and as you say, for policymaker, investment plan, and etc. It's not only monitoring for monitoring and accumulating data, it's the use of this data and the availability, the transparency, and as it was said before, so at the local level, maybe it's case specific, there is the operation and maintenance cost, the capacity of the people, so sometimes centralized is not the best option for many places. I just raised my hand because I wanted to hear if there are other testimony from other countries who could react on this Thailand case and a brilliant demonstration. But I'm just wondering, because we don't see the other country, but the aim was to also capture testimony or feedback or from the other countries and Thailand if possible. Thank you.
May I speak something to the audience?
Yes, please.
As I go out and do the survey in the village, what is the obstruction of operators of the small scale in the village? First, the maintenance option of small scale wastewater treatment plant. It is not only technical measures, but also the financial. In some small scale owned by village, the technical and the financial, how can they manage the price of the village wastewater treatment plant, and also the seeding and the startup of the system. There are three categories. First, the technical issue, the mechanical parts of the wastewater treatment plant is broken and it is not easy to fix. Second, the person who participate in the village, they are not totally, they pay only half of the member, they pay only half of the villagers. And the third is the seeding. Yes, if we can solve these three categories, then the small scale can be going on easier. Yes.
Yeah. I think that's clear. If we do have the good monitoring system and ensure that this doesn't work because of what, that we can inform to the decision makers, to the investor, hey, whether we should change from the cluster, from the small scale to the centralized scale or not. But we need the information. We should not just come up with that, okay, this is the problems of the local village and operators, and then we just assume that this doesn't function well. Also, we need regulatory support to ensure that if we would need the decentralized system, the financing, who will pay for that? That also quite important. But at least to this webinar, we would like to focus on the wastewater monitoring and data management. Of course, the very first thing is that how can we set the platform that we can report, that we can monitor systematically, and then later we can manage the data in order to claim that who will solve the problems, whether it is from the government sectors, from the investor, or even from the private sector as well. How can we bring the private sectors involved in this kind of wastewater treatment system? That also the things that I like to share the ideas.
Maybe we have to group the small scale, because in Thailand the small scale is normally about 200 cubic meters per second. 200 cubic meters per day capacity. Maybe you have to group them, and maybe in another you have to do closer collaboration.
Yeah, it is to prove, and also it is the sectors like the cities, utilities, or the governmental sectors to provide the support, enough support as well. It's not just, oh, this is the private village, and also that you don't care of them. Then at least we need to provide the regulatory support or financing support. How do we do with that? We need to have systematic data. Technically, it's one of the issues, but of course there are many others like the financings or the cost recovery or the monitoring system. How can we do that? That should be look forward and then try to solve with the proper solutions. I think that would be the things that we can discuss for today. Anything else from the audience? Yeah. Here. Again, from the question is that possible of having partial treatment or on the way to the or at small scale, a small treatment plant, and full treatment at the large treatment plant. I'm not quite sure what does it mean. It may be more economical or efficient than adding more treatment plants. Well, I think that the message would be that if we can have the partial treatment on the way, I presume that it would be in the sewer system, in the drainage system. So I think that would be something that we can look into the details later that how can we make part of that the sewer or the drainage system to be a treatment system. I think that could be something that we need to think about. But of course, here in the webinars, we think about that, how we can get more monitoring and data management related to the wastewater. I'm not so sure that is any participants from the industry, from the agricultural sectors who produce as well the wastewater, whether this kind of informations can link to your information system, monitoring system or not. I think, of course, it's quite challenging to have integrated, especially on the agricultural wastewater. Many of them are non-poisonous or not really generated every day. They may have the fish farms or the shrimp farms. They may generate the wastewater in the large amount, but only few months in a year they generate the wastewater. So I think that could be another things that we need to discuss, and how we can monitor, how we can report the wastewater, whether it is treated properly or not. Okay, with that, I think we can conclude the session today, that we can later having another sequence of the webinars related to these issues as well, 6.3.1. Then I would like to invite Hendra to explain to you of this session, and also that the plan in the next week or next following week as well. Thank you very much for your attention today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Tamarat, for moderation of the session. Allow me to give you a little summary of what we have discussed in these past 2 hours. First of all, we would like to thank UNHABITAT for sharing UNSD questionnaires, in particular for SDG 631, and also briefing us on the recent global data management situations that we need to do more in terms of reporting or data, collecting data in particular on the wastewater, safely treated wastewater. And I also would like to express gratitude to the speakers who share experiences in Thailand. And if I may summarize, important but a little forgotten, I think that is the key word from Mr. Graham. Today, mainly wastewater is focused on the effluent compliance. So the effluent quality of the treated wastewater. And in addition to monitoring and understanding the constellation from investment and also climate change, COVID-19, how do we treat wastewater and reuse to supply water needs in arid area? And how can we improve our reporting to understand better the situation and also improve investment and eventually improve our health? So UNSD SDG, United Nations questionnaire, UNSD questionnaire for SDG 631 is established to answer this challenge. Therefore, we need to respond to the UNSD questionnaires for SDG 631, initiating utilization of the questionnaire in the country by the SDG offices or SDG Secretariat or Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, or the water and wastewater utilities, and also the local government. So we urge partnerships and synergies to utilize UNSD questionnaires for SDG 631. The second one is on the cohesion of agencies and also policies for SDG 631. In particular, the role of development cooperation agencies, also involvement of universities in collecting data, and also, as I previously mentioned, developing partnership and synergies with water and wastewater utilities, and also the local governments, and also how to approach the nationally determined contributions in establishing a system to monitor and evaluate safely treated wastewater. So the experiences in Thailand showed that development agencies such as GIZ substantially supports the development of monitoring system, align the policies and also, align the policies and climate-friendly solid waste and wastewater management, and also selecting affordable web-based application and technology. Embedding this spot to Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment ensure its operation and maintenance. I think once it is maintained, then this spot will be sustained. Sustainability is ensured. So this spot is an effort to monitor quality and quantity of domestic wastewater treated in public-owned treatment facilities. And this is substantially related to UNSD questionnaire SDG 631, which is an effort to establish uniform data, and therefore a common platform is a necessity. And learning from the Bangkok Metropolitan Authority, they have currently 13 existing wastewater treatment plant, and another 14 is on the way. I think we can see the local constellation, at least in this area, in Bangkok. It will be another story in other cities, but every city has its own constellation, and therefore connecting local efforts to national effort, in particular on the reporting the quantity and quality of wastewater treated, is a substantial contribution to the UNSD questionnaire SDG 631. So those three are summarized from the current meeting, current webinar. Let's build our conversation further. I've seen participants from Philippines actively, asking questions and also promoting partnerships and synergies. I think we can build our conversation further. And this is not the one and only webinar. There will be another 2 webinars. So schedule your participation in the second webinar on November 7 from 2 to 4 p.m. If you're already registered here, an invitation will be sent to your email. And we will learn data governance of SDGs and water utilities in other countries other than Thailand. And also we will learn about citywide inclusive sanitation data management, and also data for forecasting wastewater treatment expansion from at least 3 different countries. We will learn in the second webinar on November 7. So please join and let's build our conversation further, and see you on November 7. Thank you very much. Sawadee ka.
Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good cup.
Thank you. Very good.